Livonia has a rich history of people who volunteered for decades to serve the community before pursuing opportunities to hold elective office. Tonight, we honor two gentlemen with special recognition, not just because they were elected mayor of our city, but because of who they are and what they stood for throughout their lives in our community. The Livonia Legacy Award recognizes those involved in Livonia who accumulated a long sustained record of exceptional work and service in our community throughout their careers. Tonight's event gives us a worthwhile opportunity to recognize these two gentlemen for their decades of great work in business, volunteerism, and public service. It is our honor to recognize and appreciate the longstanding efforts of Mayor Jack Engebretson and Mayor Dennis Wright as their work touched so many people throughout the years. We begin with Mayor Engebretson, who served as our city's chief executive from 2004 to 2007. After 6 years on the Livonia City Council and a dozen years on the Livonia Planning Commission. As mayor, he led the reorganization of the city's public safety departments during an economic downturn. And as a planning commissioner, he advocated for larger double-stripe parking lots in commercial centers to adjust to the influx of larger vehicles. Early in his career, he served the United States Air Force for 4 years, worked as a U.S. Capitol police officer, and built a career as a software designer, programmer, and sales manager during the early stages of that industry. He established a local software company 5 decades ago. He sold that company 30 years ago, and it still operates today. His attention to detail and salesmanship was appreciated by his Livonia neighbors as he emerged as a leading voice during a successful grassroots effort to thwart a proposed high-rise development near residential neighborhoods. This launched his political career. After he left elective office, he continued to serve the community on the city's Brownfields Board and emerged as a faith leader and co-founder of the Christ Presbyterian Church 15 years ago. He helped secure a permanent location for that congregation in Novi 5 years ago. Supporting him along the way has been his wife of 63 years, Sini. For more than 50 of those years, the couple has made their home in Livonia, where they raise 2 children and have 3 grandsons. In tribute to all he has done in our community, it is our distinct honor to present Mayor Jack Engebretson with the 2021 Livonia Legacy Award, and we invite him to the stage.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking the Chamber for this awesome recognition. I feel very humbled, and I know that there are many people in the room that are as deserving, if not more deserving, than I am to receive this award, and I'm looking at several of them. But your time will come. You got to get a little older. When Dan told me about this event, he said, be prepared to make a few remarks after the award is presented. And I was thinking, Dan, don't you know by now that no one has ever used the words a few remarks and my name in the same sentence? Doesn't work that way. I feel entitled to take just a little bit of time to flesh out a few of the remarks that Dan made. My wife will tell you that normally when I have the opportunity to address a group, that I'll sit in the audience with a pen and paper and I can do a half-hour speech in about 10 minutes. But tonight I didn't have a pen. But, Chief, you didn't know I was a police officer, did you? Is Chief still here? Yeah. My early life was one that was kind of scattered by some people's definition. I served in the Air Force, as was said. I was an airborne radio operator at about the time that the radio technology was changing to the point where the pilots could do their own radio work. And so after a year of training, my training really had very little value, although I did get to fly quite a lot. I wanted to be in the left front seat. That would be the pilot seat. And so I made the application, and my vision prevented me from getting that assignment, but I was able to go to navigator school. And the problem is that in order to do that, I had to be single. And I had met Sini. And so I had a choice to make. Do I want to be a navigator and a lifer in the Air Force? Or do I want to get married to this sweet young chick? And I chose her. So when the colonel called to tell me, that was a good move, wasn't it? The wing commander called to tell me, he said, Herman Engebretson, I have your orders on my desk. You're leaving on a particular day. And I said, Colonel, I don't know how to tell you this, but I got married, and so I've DQ'd myself. And so Sini will tell you that had I not chosen her, that I would have gone off to school. I would have been a navigator. And this was in 1957. And several years after that, as most of you know, Vietnam blew up. And guess where I would have been? Right over there. And so Sini then takes credit for having saved my life. And in many respects, she did. You know, I went to school to be a mechanical engineer, and I liked it. But when I got exposed to computers, I fell in love with them, like I did her. And so I put all of that on hold, and I got into the computer business, and I just truly loved it. I was meant to be in that business. I couldn't wait to get to work in the morning for my whole career. That's the way it was. So the job was hard. Sini put up with a lot. There was a 2-year period that I was telling Dan about, that I was on the road more than 200 years, putting out fires for a Fortune 100 company. And Sini put the hammer down. She said, you either have to change jobs or else. I didn't want to hear about that or else. So for a while, I was allowed to commute from Washington, D.C. to New York to finish the project that I was working on. And then my boss did allow me to live a more normal life. But then came the opportunity to start a new business, and with Sini's approval and risk-taking, because we had nothing, well, actually, we had nothing to lose, but we could have been terribly bankrupted for the rest of our lives if things had gone poorly. We made a lot of sacrifices, and we started what turned out to be a very, very successful company. And when we sold the company in 1992, I thought, this is great. I'm 55 years old. I'm going to be able to play golf for the rest of my life, and life's going to be good. But that got awfully boring. And belonged to a country club, served on the board there, and Bob Bennett called me and said, I want you to serve on the planning commission. And I said, no. And I suspect I'm the only person in the history of the city of Livonia that declined an appointment to the planning commission, the most sought after appointment appointed position in the city. And a couple weeks later, he called me back and he said, Jack, you got to give it a try. If you don't like it, if you're not comfortable, you can leave. There are no hard feelings. So we did, and you know the rest of the story. That led to all the things that Dan mentioned, and I won't repeat them. But I will tell you this, that for the vast majority of my adult life, I have served in various leadership capacities. And during all of that time, I lived by a motto that I kept to myself for decades, but I shared it with someone earlier this year. My wife knew about it, but other than my family, I don't think anybody did. And I told Dan the thing that got me through all of this was that my motto was to serve with honor, not for honor. It worked. That wasn't original with me. It was something that I learned from someone about 50 years ago out in Washington, someone that I had a high regard for. And so as I served as a public servant, that thought was always uppermost in my mind. And I was really glad I did that too. I loved going to work, whether it was a city council or the mayor's office or the planning commission, whatever it was. So then my third career was going to be with my church. First came business, then came public service, and then it was going to be church. And I did that too. And now I've kind of gotten into an emeritus status there. I still do some work. I lead the accounting functions. I'm downloading QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021 right now, even as we speak. I'm serious, I really am. But I just want to close by telling you that the secret of my success was marrying the right person. I'm really glad I did. So Dan, thank you, and thanks to all of you. If you voted for me, thank you. If you didn't vote for me, tough. I hope your garbage didn't get picked up.